This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
Hey guys, the results of this month's executive producer vote are in, and it's a 4-way tie. Yeah, this is kind of awkward. Never had this happen before. I would have liked to review all of these movies, but I'm only one man. There's only so much garbage I can take in a short amount of time. As such, we're going to be looking at Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland, and Happily Never After. Little Nemo, released in 1989, was based on a comic strip by Winsor McCay from 1905. Isn't that a little late to capitalize on whatever craze the comic had generated at the time? Anyway, we start with the opening credits, which represent the whimsical nature of this movie we're about to see just perfectly.
What kind of dream will you dream, little Nemo? What kind of dream will be yours tonight?
Really frickin' imaginative, right? If you don't want to show anything specific, at least throw him some crazy randomness or something. We then look in on the titular Little Nemo having a dream, which then takes a quick turn into nightmare territory. The end? Well, it wasn't a great movie, but at least it was short. So let's move on to... Oh. We're still going. Crap. It turns out that the circus is coming to town, and we then meet Nemo's pet flying squirrel, Icarus. I just can't get away from flying squirrels lately, can I? At least this one doesn't have a special hate agenda.
I hope we haven't missed anything.
We're 8 minutes in and so far, nothing has happened. I think you're good. Of course, Nemo's all pumped to see the circus, but his parents are too busy to take him. Later that night, he pretends to sleepwalk to get himself a little midnight snack. And suddenly I can't help but think of how much more interesting it would be if he actually was a sleepwalker, and his dreams only made things worse for him.
How many times do I have to tell you?
What have I been doing?
Nemo, stop! Nemo!
That was close.
Little Nemo, the quest for pie! He's soon lost in dreamland again, when his latest figment strolls into his head.
Greetings, my boy. Do I have the honor of addressing Little Nemo?
Uh-huh.
I am a professor. I am a genius. You can call me Professor Genius.
I'm a reviewer, and I'm unamused. You can call me Reviewer Unamused.
We have been sent here on a mission by King Morpheus, the King of Slumberland.
King Morpheus? Slumberland?
Of course, no one can be told what Slumberland is. He's invited by King Morpheus to be the official playmate of his daughter, Camille, but since girls are rife with cooties, Nemo is understandably apprehensive. So they sweeten the deal with a little present.
Boy, I love presents.
A box of delicious dream treats from the Royal Bakery.
Thanks. Wow, this is great. I love the princess. I love girls.
Good thing this kid is easily bought. So at the end of the day, what's the easiest way to get someone to do what you want?
Cookie! Nom nom nom. Oh, nom 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 nom.
They fly to Slumberland in a blimp, and I guess it was only inevitable that Nemo was offered to take the wheel.
Yippee!
flying Graysons, maybe.
Steady! Steady, Nemo!
How about you just take the helm, Captain? They finally arrive at the Hotel Coronado when they bump into this creepy hobo clown named Flip, voiced by Mickey Rooney.
Want to ditch old sourpuss here and have some fun?
What of all the impertinence?
See you later, kid.
Okay!
Stay away from him, my boy.
Yeah, great. The one character in the entire movie who has any kind of marquee value, and you want us to stay away from him. Nice. Nemo and Professor Dunname arrive at the king's court, but the king has gone missing. That's when Flip shows up to offer his services to find him.
I am the exclusive, the one and the only holder of the official map of...
Nightmare Land?
Oops.
Oh, Slumberland.
Yep. Come on.
I'll bet we'll find the king before the professor does.
This guy's got a map of Nightmare Land. I'm sure his intentions are truly honorable. After a brief tour through Richard Williams' Winchester house, they find the king playing with a model train set.
King Morpheus! Oh, King Morpheus! Oh,
On the way,
This movie just literally turned into a train wreck. Oh, the irony!
no! Your Majesty, may I present little Nemo?
Yes, of course, we've met.
Your Majesty? The king?
Oh, let's dispense with the formalities. Just call me Morphe.
Morphe?
Morphe.
Morphe?
Morphe.
Morphe?
Yes, Morphe! He explains to Nemo that he wants him to be the next ruler of Slumberland, and as such, he's given this key which will open any door in the entire kingdom.
There is one door you must never open. The door with this symbol on it. This you must promise. And this promise you must never break.
Yes, I promise. Sir, I promise you.
A sure sign that that'll be the only door he opens in this entire movie. Yeah, I know it's a dream, and a stupid little kid like Nemo isn't going to think of this, but if we're supposed to believe that this is some other world where these characters might think independently of their dreamer, why couldn't they change the lock on this door and simply throw away the key? If this one particular door must never be opened, why allow the possibility for it to be opened to even exist? Nemo finally meets up with Princess Camille, who doesn't care for his choice of attire.
What?
Nothing, really. It's just that no one has ever accepted a royal invitation in his underwear.
This is not my underwear. These are my pajamas.
Oh.
So I am in my pajamas. So what? You invited me here in the middle of the night. And princess or not, this is no way to treat a guest. Now what?
You know, you are kind of cute.
Because if one thing turns on the ladies, it's putting them in their place.
I think you're still hysterical.
I think I'll just go step into something more pink.
Mark my words, the next time we see her, she will be in something pink.
She takes Nemo to show off more of Slumberland, leading to several minutes of pure filler.
They're the weather nymphs. They're jealous because we're having so much fun.
They're not jealous, they just want you to get on with the plot and do something! Then we pan up, past their clothes that are hanging to dry.
So beautiful. I could sit here forever.
Okay, I know I just complained about how nothing was happening, but I don't think anyone wanted this to happen! Camille then takes Nemo back to the palace, where he has to learn some etiquette if he's going to be the Prince of Slumberland.
shoulders back. Use your spoon.
Here we lunch at noon. Time to dance.
You've got to get some etiquette when you're on a ballroom floor.
Is this gonna turn into that kind of dream?
Oh, you've got to get some etiquette, 'cause a prince must learn to dance.
You know, maybe I could laugh at the absurdity of this if we got a little insight into what Nemo has to contend with when he's awake. Does he have to deal with parents and teachers who are especially strict with their rules and standards, and this dream is his way of expressing his frustration? We haven't seen any of that, so as far as we can tell, this is just complete and utter nonsense. They could be training him to work in a cheese factory right now, and it'd still make as much sense. Flip shows up again, and because he's as desperate for the plot to happen as the rest of us, he invites Nemo along for some mischief-making.
Where are we going?
Leave that to me. My home. Away from home.
But this is a police station.
Welcome to my home away from home. Hello, Arkham! Yeah, anyone who considers a police station his home away from home and he isn't a cop, run, you little dumbass! After they hijack Jeremy for the Secret of Nim, they decide to mess with Gertie the dinosaur. No, seriously, that's Gertie the dinosaur, another Windsor McKay creation. Because if there's one thing that kids love, it's obscure references that only animation majors would point out. It isn't long before they come across the one door that Nemo isn't supposed to open. Of course, Flip convinces Nemo to open it on the grounds of why the hell not, and they release... Hexus?
Toxic love.
That was close.
Yeah. Gotta go, kid. I hear my mama calling me.
Flip, wait! Ah! Flip, wait!
They get Nemo back to the palace in time to become prince. Oh, and look at what Camille is wearing.
Pink! Told ya!
Instead of explaining this to Nemo earlier, Morpheus explains right this very moment how he'll be in charge of this magical staff which can fend off the evil Nightmare King.
Bear witness to the power of the royal scepter! Pajama, 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 imbarakasam, imbarakasam, imperatasam, panja, panja, satsama, satsama, pajama, pajama!
Put them together and what have you got? Bippity-boppity-boo!
Let it be known to everyone that the power to use this royal scepter is given only to my heir, Prince Nemo, and me.
Not my only flesh and blood, because she's a girl and might get her cooties all over it. You.
I hereby crown you Prince Nemo, royal eminence of all Slumberland. As prince, you must guard and protect my gift to you, the Golden Key.
Why do you suddenly look so panicked, son? Did you lose the golden key I gave you 20 minutes ago? So they celebrate Nemo becoming prince with some really awkward dancing.
Swing it, swing it!
Nice change of music. Is beef what's for dinner? The Nightmare escapes, makes off with King Morpheus, and the crowd quickly turns on Nemo.
Who opened the forbidden door?
Nemo did it!
No!
Nemo?
Nemo? No! No!
Yeah, hard to get emotionally invested in anything that's happening when you know that you'll just wake up from it at any time.
Huh?
Nemo.
King Morpheus?
I'm the pie, Nemo! You have to eat me! Ooh.
Nemo.
Oh wow, he really is the pie! It turns out that Nemo is still dreaming, as his house starts flooding with water. Then he finds himself back in the flooded, devastated Slumberland. Which doesn't make the slightest bit of sense. It's implied that the nightmare that was released is responsible, but what about the first time that Nemo has a nightmare? That didn't destroy Slumberland. For that matter, isn't all of this taking place in Nemo's head? Why can't he simply dream that everything is back to normal? Or is Slumberland supposed to be a real place that everyone visits when they dream? Can we establish something, please?
It's all my fault.
No, dear boy, don't blame yourself. It's Flip's fault.
When he suggested that you take a peek immediately after you said that you promised you wouldn't, what choice did you have but to obey him? Flip is sentenced to be shot into space for his part in letting out the nightmare.
Let me out of here. You hear me? I'll turn over. Trust me. Wow!
Ready?
Stop! Don't fire the cannon!
The royal scepter!
Let Flip out!
Let's flip out? Okay. Nemo stops the exile, since Flip is their only hope of getting into Nightmare Land and rescuing the king. So Nemo takes Flip, Professor Dumbass, and Camille off to Nightmare Land in the fastest boat they could find. Yeah, Nemo's not very imaginative, is he? Then they fall off of World's End, which naturally leads to this.
On your larboard side.
Yuck! All my beautiful clothes ruined!
My father's been kidnapped, my kingdom's been destroyed, but my clothes are ruined! Oh no! Speaking of clothes, why did Nemo change into this little sailor suit? Is he gearing up for adventure, or is he getting his portrait painted? It isn't long before our brave band of heroes runs into these... goblins made of silly putty?
More goblins!
Oh, I get it! Goblin must be the secret word of the day. And you know what to do when anyone says the secret word, don't you? That's right! Scream real loud! Let's try it! Hey Raven, what are those things over there?
I'm not saying it.
Hey Raven, what are those things over there?
Goblins. I hate you so much.
I know! But, uh-oh, Flip's map of Nightmare Land has been washed away in the flood. The goblins volunteered to lead the party to Nightmare Castle, which means that Flip is now demoted to luggage carrier.
Here, let me help you, Flip.
No, thanks. Don't take this job away from me.
Then they get attacked by the flying monkeys from the Wizard of Oz. And then Nemo wakes up again. Look, it's okay if you do the whole waking up in a dream thing once to throw off the audience, but doing it twice? All this does is make it look like you couldn't think of a way for Nemo to get out of this situation, so you just hit the reset button. Oh look, he's still dreaming. What a shock. And why were the goblins spared the flying monkeys, but not the rest of Nemo's friends? Then this other goblin crashes through Nemo's ceiling.
Hey, Umpo!
It's Umpo!
That's not Oomple, that's Ludo. It just so happens that the king slipped Ludo the magic words to get the scepter to work. How convenient. However, Icarus is afraid that if Nemo uses the scepter, it'll kill him. Why? Do squirrels just inherently know how Slumberland works more than anyone else? Did he read ahead in the script beforehand? They eventually make it to Nightmare Castle.
Would you look at that?
Nightmare Castle!
Ooh, I don't like the looks of this.
For some reason, I just figured that Nightmare Castle would be covered in flowers with bunnies hopping about.
If memory serves me correctly, there should be a secret entry somewhere in this valley.
What's happening?
So they're looking for the secret entrance to Nightmare Castle. They say that they're looking for the secret entrance to Nightmare Castle, and then it just presents itself to them. Not a very effective secret entrance, is it? They finally meet the Nightmare King, who looks like Chernobog's derpy cousin. Yeah, I know we're supposed to be intimidated by this guy, but look at his face! All I can think of when I look at this guy is, I'm gonna make your dreams real scary. Yup.
Give me the scepter, Nemo, and I'll let you go. Yes.
And then Nemo blasts him with the scepter almost as soon as he's introduced. Twist ending, the Nightmare King was actually Angelica Houston all along.
Just another plot of
Your courage destroyed the Nightmare King, and his evil kingdom is gone forever.
Meaning what? Nemo's never gonna have a bad dream ever again? No one's ever gonna have a bad dream ever again? Is Slumberland restored to its rightful place? Tell us! So he wakes up in his room as if nothing ever happened, because nothing did ever happen. He apologizes to his mom for taking the pie earlier, and they go out to see the circus. Hooray! Now we get to see even more of him having fun and saying, wow, and yippee! I can't wait! So that was Little Nemo, Adventures in Slumberland. And it put me to sleep. I mean, wow. What a nothing movie. The animation is gorgeous, it's got some really creative visuals, but the plot is a complete afterthought. Even in the context of this all happening in a dream, where any random thing can happen on a whim, nothing makes the slightest bit of sense. You know what happened in the Little Nemo comics? Nemo falls asleep, some crazy character invites him into Slumberland, he sees some weird crap, and then he wakes up. That's it. This movie is nothing but a longer version of the comic, and that's just not enough. There needs to be something bigger going on, something to actually necessitate the leap from comic panel to the big screen. Maybe Nemo's trapped in Slumberland and needs to find a way out. Maybe his dreams are somehow crossing over into the real world. Maybe the entire world is under attack by rampaging nightmares. I don't know, just give us something to make this an actual movie! And now that that's over and done with, let's move on to our second winner, Happily Never After. Ah, Lionsgate. Always the mark of quality. Oh, and hey, like Swan Princess 6, they're trying to have their own Pixar lamp too. That's adorable. Ich bin ein Bär! After the many production logos, we open on the end of the movie, where Jessica Rabbit's slutty mother, played by Sigourney Weaver, has taken over the land of fairy tales.
Starting tonight, I give you Happily Never After!
Wow. Fastest title drop ever. I mean, you can work a movie's title into the dialogue, but this was just sloppy. It's like if Jack Skellington said, I'm so bored with Halloween. If only I had, I don't know, some sort of Nightmare Before Christmas. I know we're looking at a bad guy who doesn't mind calling herself a bad guy and has her goods out there for all to enjoy, but can we get a little subtlety, please?
Happily Never After!
Hold it! Would the owner of a light blue coach with Narnia plates please move your vehicle? You're parked in a trolls-only zone. Thank you. While I have your attention, you see that there? That's what we call a wicked stepmother. Feel free to boo. I know what you're thinking. Who put a wicked stepmother in charge?
Your father?
You know what? Let's go back a little, and I'll give you the lowdown on Fairytale Land. Yeah, the name's kinda corny, but we had to call it something, and Canada was already taken.
Oh boy, not even 3 minutes into this fairy tale movie, and we've already got fourth wall jokes, modern day references, and making fun of Canada. This movie is already a frickin' train wreck that just didn't care. We're introduced to a wizard, played by George Carlin, who oversees every fairy tale in this kingdom, making sure that the scales of good and evil that drive the stories are perfectly balanced. Helping him is a little pig named Monk, voiced by Wallace Shawn, and a cat named Mambo, voiced by Andy Dick.
A world-class troublemaker.
And why would someone who's responsible for the balance between good and evil have someone like this in his employ?
Ah, here's our story. Remember her? She was the one with the whole evil, evil, blah, blah, blah speech a minute ago.
Good God, not even the narrator can take this seriously.
We've got one wicked stepmother and two ugly stepsisters. Delicate flowers of womanhood. One fairy godmother.
Or one dancing Santa Claus toy from Walgreens.
One Prince Charming. Hold the charm. And then there's one fair maiden. Ella. You probably know her as Cinderella, but she's always been Ella to me.
She has a short pixie haircut because she's a modern princess. And who is this narrator who thinks the world of Cinderella, but who will never win her affections?
Oh, not Blondie McBiceps. No. Look to the left. Keep going. There I am.
Oh yes, clearly no woman would want a gorgeous hunk of man meat like that. They even gave him a heavenly glow. Come on!
Remember Rick the servant? Of course you don't. I'm the guy who polishes the prince's boots. I'm the guy who washes his dishes and serves his meals and does his laundry and flosses his teeth. You know what kind of happy ending the royal flosser gets?
I'd rather not. After the usual shtick of Cinderella getting loaded with chores to keep her from going to the ball, we cut back to the wizard's lair.
Oh, great. Downstairs neighbor, the airhead, formerly known as Prince. There's gotta be something better on. And there's Rapunzel, single-handedly keeping the kingdom's shampoo industry in the black. Apparently your people have yet to master scissor technology. Little Red Riding Hood, every wolf's favorite between-meals snack.
Great. Let's watch with Andy Dick. Just what I wanted to see.
Can we limit the editorializing?
The wizard sets off for a little vacation in Scotland, leaving his apprentices in charge. Yeah, great. You go through all the trouble of getting George Carlin, and you kick him out for most of the movie. Nice. So Cinderella's left behind by her stepfamily, when the fairy godmother shows up to get her ready for the ball.
That's not right.
No! She will be a princess today and a pirate never! Of course, she gets to the ball and starts turning heads everywhere she goes.
She's perfect.
She's so beautiful. What else is there?
What's wrong?
I detect the strangest smell of pumpkin. I like pumpkin.
Welcome to the worst moment of my life so far.
You're still young. You've got so many worst moments of your life to look forward to. Meanwhile, Frida here discovers that the wizard's lair is in the top of the prince's castle, for some reason. And after she overhears how the wizard decides the fate of everyone in the kingdom, she takes the wizard's staff for herself. After disposing of Monk and Mambo, she tinkers with the scales. They make Rapunzel fall out of her tower as her prince pulls on her hair. The Sleeping Beauty's prince kisses her and he falls asleep. These aren't really the forces of evil, just kind of the forces of bad luck. She looks into the storybook, where she sees that Cinderella gets the prince instead of her daughters. She slams the book down on the scale so that evil now has all the power, and Cinderella is now back in her regular clothes.
Where did that maiden go? Did you see her? Oh, maiden! Oh, maiden! Maiden!
Oh yes, who could resist? Oh, maiden! Then we see Frida using the staff to call forth all the various bad guys of the kingdom, bringing us back to the beginning of the movie.
We're always the losers, the bad guys. Is that fair? No.
You know, usually when a movie opens up with a "How did we get here?" prologue, it takes us to near the end of the movie, right before the impossibly hopeless final conflict is resolved. Taking us to just about the end of Act 1 isn't really that much of a setup.
I give you happily never.
Yeah, this is where you came in. I hate to tell you, but it gets worse.
At least they're being honest about it. Cinderella proposes that they find the prince so that he can put a stop to this, but Rick the Prick makes it all about him, and turns her down because he thinks that she just wants to be a princess. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Cinderella finds Monk and Mambo, and they help her find the prince to get things back to normal before the wizard comes back.
Working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight.
Wow. Putting Monster Mash to disco music? They really are villains! And Rick just trudges through, not caring one iota about how his castle has been taken over by a bunch of monsters.
What's your rush, kid? Sit down.
Take a load off. Pour yourself a glass.
All right. Don't mind if I do. You know, that's the first time anybody asked me to sit down.
So what's your name, kid?
Rick.
So, are you a good guy, or a bad guy, or what guy?
I'm morally ambiguous. Makes me more alluring. Frida learns of Cinderella trying to stop her, and she sends out the various villains to track her down.
Bring her to me!
Us? Work?
Before noon? We're more nocturnal villains. You see, that means we operate at night.
Wow, becoming a master wizard sure is easy. That staff is made with a simple point-and-click interface. Cinderella soon comes across the home of the seven dwarfs, who are apparently a bunch of southern disaster preppers.
But I don't...
Lock and load, Cletus!
Do let me guess. The seven dwarves' names are Jim Bob, Cletus, Jim Bob, Jethro, Jim Bob, Buford, and Jim Bob. The monsters converge on the dwarves' house, and they lead a counterattack with rapid-fire guns that shoot diamonds instead of bullets. Points for creativity.
Target 500 yards! Follow me
Oh no! We got witches! 2 o'clock!
No, that's 12 o'clock. Why don't these movies know how the clock position works? Cletus here is soon taken out of commission, and it's up to Cinderella to take over. Wow. She has no idea what she's doing as she mans the diamond cannon, but since she's the only one who can do something, she gives her best shot and ends up fighting the witches off. Well done, movie. That is a very good example of a strong female character. The villains soon get the upper hand when Rick shows up to save Cinderella and her friends. Sure is a good thing that these three witches just happen to leave a fourth broomstick lying around. They pass by the prince, but their broomstick runs out of gas before they could get to him.
Prince? Hello?
We must have overshot him by a mile.
Yeah, we lost him. Just like you wanted.
What? Ella, I didn't...
Yeah, you did. You had ample opportunity to turn around, you bitched about the prince at every chance you had, you meant to lose him. While Rick backtracks to get to the prince, Monk and Mambo explain how this all happened, as well as how Cinderella always ends up with the prince in the end.
What's wrong? It's your happy ending. You get wedding bells, roses, you ride off into the sunset.
And then what?
Nothing. That's the end of your tale. What?
That's all? That's my whole life? I just marry the prince?
What else did you expect?
What else is there?
I joke, but in all honesty, yeah. What else is there? Her story ends with her living happily ever after. Is that not what everyone wants? To live happily ever after?
What else did you expect?
I don't know. I guess... more.
Great. She has no idea what she wants, but she knows that she wants more of it. She's reverted to typical princess. But then Frida shows up to take her down herself.
Hi, Cinderella!
She called her Cinderella? Has she been talking with her little mouse friends? Rick and the prince see Frida make off with Cinderella, and they follow in hot pursuit.
Please help me! Prince!
I've got... Why? Log. Hurt. Prince. Sleepy now.
Well, don't just sit there. Get back on your horse. Save her.
He just got clotheslined by a log! You want to help him up, asshole?
Forget it. This guy's useless.
Is he? The book says that he wins every time. Isn't that the exact opposite of useless? Then again, this is Cinderella's prince that we're talking about here. How much saving does he actually do? He just shows up at her house one day and says, "Excuse me, does this fit you? Huzzah, I saved you!" Wouldn't it make more sense if this was Sleeping Beauty's prince? They wasted him for this bad luck gimmick, but he's the prince with the most experience in saving damsels in distress. Anyway, they follow Frida back to the castle, and the prince is immediately captured by trolls. Meanwhile, upstairs...
Now what should I do with you? Turn you into a snail? Make you sleep for 1,000 years? Shrink you? Eat you? Poison you?
I'm not scared of you. When the prince comes,
everyone will live happily ever after.
I'm not scared of you because my prince will come for me! You started off pretty good with this character movie. Are you trying to ruin her?
Going so soon?
That's all you got? Just zapping to her left?
Yep, that showed her.
But she doesn't want to turn her into a snail, or make her sleep for 1,000 years? Shrink her? Eat her?
Nope. Just zap to her left. That'll do it.
Okay. Back outside, Rick and the assistants get past the trolls by pretending to be villains themselves.
Hey, I'm just trying to put money in your pocket, player.
Yo!
Yo?
Yo! We're cool. We're low. We're on the down low. DL. Down low. Way down here, we're slowly, bowly, roly-poly.
Hey, what's wrong with you? I'm down.
Okay, why didn't that scene end with, "I say, Thaddeus, what was that which just happened?" It was embarrassing, to be sure. Indubitably. Rick tries to get the staff away from Frida, and instead of blowing him up with it, she uses it to just throw him around a little.
You just had to go for your happy ending. Well, let me tell you.
No sleepy, no sleepy!
This is your end. But it ain't gonna be happy!
She's playing up the wrong angle here completely. The whole point of this story is that she was tired of always getting the shaft. Why isn't she demanding, "Why do I have to be the bad guy? Where's my happy ending?"
The dishwasher and the scullery maid. You're gonna live happily never after.
Yeah, why isn't she playing that up either? The dishwasher and the scullery maid. You two have your happily ever after, while my lovely daughters have their prince. Everybody wins! They accidentally open up a portal, and Cinderella... punches Frida into it. Cinderella wins with brute force? That's just wrong. It was her patience that was always her strongest character trait. If you want to show Cinderella being strong, put her through some kind of test of endurance and show her still standing tall. But this? This is like Cinderella once upon a time in the West. If she's a badass, why would she let herself be pushed around by her wicked stepmother? So yeah, Frida's gone, they restore cosmic balance to the kingdom, all the villains are defeated before the wizard returns, and Cinderella chooses a new beginning with Rick. So that was Happily Never After, and it was watchable. Of course, it's just a low-budget ripoff of Shrek and its deconstruction of fairy tale tropes, and it certainly has its share of problems. The nature of these scales of good and evil are never really explained, nor is the wizard's relationship with this fairy tale world, and no one seems to be bothered with how they're all just fictional characters. It also doesn't help that our hero is a whiny little crybaby who can't stop bitching about the prince always saving the day, and when you think about it, he shouldn't even be aware of how the prince is always saving the day. But on the other hand, it has a very unique style to it, and it had a few genuinely funny moments to it, so it's not like this movie was a total slog to get through. Now that we've examined these two very different movies, the question remains: how do their treatments of princesses compare to that of the Swan Princess? I suppose that it's a good thing that Princess Camille wasn't just something for the villain to take and the hero to win, but then again, if she did have that traditional role, maybe she would actually mean something to the story. As it is, she's just there to act snooty and superior to Nemo, and she ultimately contributes nothing to the destruction of the Nightmare King. You could cut her from the movie completely, and it wouldn't have made any difference. As for Cinderella, you can tell that they were going for something more modern and progressive with her, but it just ends up falling terribly short. They gave her a butch hairstyle, they make her win the day by kicking the wicked stepmother's ass, but in their attempts to modernize her, they made her ditch one useless pretty boy for another useless pretty boy, and they completely missed the point of her character. Instead of making this character work in the context of the story they wanted to tell, they just swapped her out for the latest set of strong female character tropes. So, as terrible as the Swan Princess movies are, there are always worse things that can happen to princesses. See you later.
Subscribe.